here's my clicker. All right, so we're going to get into something more interesting in the real estate world, but who here got something good from social media this morning? Right, there's a saying in life, rather be lucky than smart, so I was hoping pairing the two of them together set off. It's like one kind of fed right off the other. So look, everyone just take a breath in, breath out. So I want to introduce a dear friend of mine up here, Brandon. I was joking around and telling my mom, I said, Mom, I actually have like good friends now that went to Harvard University, but Brandon is nothing short of a genius, authentic, genuine, and down to earth. So he has helped build a new lead generation platform for many agents in the industry and Compass. And he's going to talk about lead generation in a different way than we're normally used to hearing it, right? I'm a big past client centers of influence guy, right? But I did do for sale by owner calls, expired listings, door knocking, and pretty much any different weird way you've ever heard somebody talk about make money in real estate, I was willing to try in my 20s. Right, so Brandon's going to come up here and tell us about this platform, Navigate Way, and different ways to really think about generating leads in business, automations, and really building a system, right? How many people feel really confident about their lead generation systems that don't currently, how many people feel really confident in their lead generation systems and their system can't be Zillow? Raise your hand. Okay, so it's an area we all have lots of opportunity in. But the amazing thing is you guys are all making a really good living already. So without further ado, Brandon Weaver.
I wanted to use the mic. I feel as if my voice is loud enough I project. You guys can all hear me, correct? Yes. Great. So Chirag kind of hit the nail on the head. Right, I oftentimes go around the country talking to realtors, and I always ask them, how do you go about prospecting? And I always say, you talk to 10 different realtors, you get 10 different approaches to how they prospect, and no one's really thrilled at the outcomes that they get. So, Navigate. An interesting story. So, I joined an organization called Voyage Real Estate about a year and a half ago. And my business partner at the time was sharing a story about how difficult it was to prospect in real estate. And I've been a lifelong salesperson, worked in multiple industries. And prospecting, it's always been challenging, right? It's never been an easy process. It was easy, like everybody be really wealthy and be really successful. But a lot of the organizations and industries I've worked in, they really had a good mechanism for prospecting. They had good infrastructure for prospecting. And a lot of it was B2B sales, some of it B2C, but there was just a focus and emphasis on prospecting. And so naturally, when I was involved in Voyage, which was underneath the Compass umbrella, I just assumed that was within Compass. And what I quickly found out was that there was no uniform way to go about prospecting. We heard about it earlier today. People do a lot of outbound techniques, some inbound techniques, but there's no really uniform way to prospect where it organizes the whole process of it from search to connectivity all in one platform. And when I started observing some of the behaviors that I saw from the real estate agents, and he was telling me some of this, it was mind-boggling because what he was saying was like, Brandon, I have agents who sit and literally write addresses on envelopes, lick stamps, put them on the envelope. And I was like, this can't be true. Like, they're actually doing that. Yes, Brandon, they're actually doing that. And I observed one of our agents doing it. And I asked her, how long do you spend doing that? She told me 4 hours. And I was like, there has to be a better way. So then I started to do some investigative work, right? Like, how do agents go about prospecting today? And what I started to realize is that there's just a whole bunch of fragmented tools, right? So people have subscriptions to some of the competitors to navigate. People go through title reps to get information. But what you have is a dependency, and what you have is a period that of time that you're waiting for information. So you're not really prospecting on your terms. You're waiting for someone to give you information and then determining how to prospect it. And then hoping that they give you the information in a way that you can actually digest and put it to good use. So there's clearly a lot of hours lost in this process, whether you're waiting on someone or whether you're organizing information. You're spending a ton of money doing it, and now you have the information. It's like, great, what do I do with it? So it's the application of this data, right? And that's where kind of the devil of the detail is. And then when you look at the data, some of it is either outdated, it's not relevant. So you might get someone's contact email, but it might be their college address, and you're like, that's great. Maybe it's forwarded, maybe not. I get 10 different phone numbers, which one are they using? And it's just messy, right? It's clunky, it's messy, it's confusing, and it doesn't inspire a lot of confidence. And you spend all this time searching. There's really no tools that automate that process and allow you to prioritize, give you confidence that this is the most relevant phone number or most relevant email. And it was clear, and it kind of dawned on me, like the light opened up, and I was like, we need to actually address this issue. And so about a year ago, we set off on this mission to create this platform that automates the whole process and makes it simple, approachable, intuitive, and efficient. Ironically, the 4 things that are missing in the process today. So naturally, when you create a product, you have all the best ideas in the world, all the ambition, and nothing can go wrong, and everything is easy. And you quickly realize that there's a reason why some of this is really challenging. And there's a reason why agents struggle with this, and that there's been no one to actually solve it. And what we're realizing now, with regulation that is coming fast and furious, is that the industry's changing. And what I've seen in real estate today, which I've seen in other industries, having worked in highly regulated industries, is salespeople are asked to do more, right? Realtors sit at the in-between of a value chain, if you will, between supply and demand, right? And in every other business, supply is trying to find demand and vice versa, right? And they're trying to hop over, get around, or get through the intermediary, which is a realtor. So now a realtor's job is to build a moat around them and showcase value. Right? People do it in different ways. A lot of people have a strong sphere of influence. They connect the dots. Some people don't. But one of a realtor's values is creating opportunity. And what Navigate is, and what lead generation should be, is about creating and finding the next opportunity and being able to do it in a simple way, in an efficient way, in a highly intuitive way, and do it more often and more frequently. So this is what Navigate intends to do, and this is how we are asking realtors, we're trying to make realtors more confident in the fact that they can do this. So it's not just lip service when we talk about it, it's a technology that can actually deliver on it. So we talked about what today's reality looks like, right? And we see the implications of it. Inefficient process, inefficient outreach, high variability of outcomes. So you may go down one path, it's like, oh my God, this actually was really successful, so let me just wash and repeat. And you can't do that. You can't do that anywhere in life, but if you find a process, you just want to literally replicate that process because it gets results. But we know people are different across regions. We know regulation is there. There's a bunch of exogenous factors that you have no control over that aren't going to allow you to replicate that with high success. Not to mention the fact that if your inputs are inaccurate, if they're incomplete, you're certainly not going to be successful. And the big thing, and you'll hear me say this time and time again, that we talk about, which is it's not funny, but it's sad that we cannot find a way to do it, especially in real estate, is just find something that's simple. And when I looked at some of our competitor sites and I just started investigating the process, I just was overwhelmed, right? And I'm someone who soaks up information, but when they're like, oh, you need to talk to this person, then you got to put it in here, then you got to do this, and then we spend time doing it. Guys, this is just too complicated. You mean to tell me there's just not one partner or one software or one platform that just does this all for you? Especially in today's day and age with AI and every solution we have, there's no shortage of solutions. How have no solutions intersected the real estate space? And I said, Brandon, there's not really one. One of the things that I've found is that there are some actually, right? So there are competing softwares to Navigate. There are tools and solutions that give you data, right? And they're great platforms. But one of the things that makes Navigate and separates Navigate from them is the focus on the real estate agent. And I think that's really, really important for this group to understand. A lot of platforms give you data, and there's no shortage of people who have interest in getting homeowner data and homeowner and property level detail. But what they don't do is actually help you apply that data. And we talked about this application of data being really important. They're designed for real estate practitioners. So whether you're a wholesaler, real estate investor, a real estate agent, or anyone who has an interest in just real estate, they're great platforms for you. Ton of data. But what they have not done is help you organize that data, right, in ways that you can actually do something with it. So one of the beauties of actually working alongside with a real estate company as a call it a sister company of ours, is that we can see every single day what realtors want to do with that data. Right? They want to reach people. Connectivity counts, right? That's what moves the needle. So you can have all the data in the world, but it's how do I take that data, turn it into something meaningful, focus that data, harness it, and actually reach out and touch someone with it with a precise pitch. And this is what Navigate intends to do and how it wants to help realtors. So you'll see here the 3 core pillars: property research, your ability to quickly source owner information, property level detail, robust detail on the property. We've all seen platforms that just literally just data dump and just tell you everything you want to know. When's the last time the owner second guessed themselves, right? And while that's great, it's not helpful. So we really wanted to strip all that down, give you filtering tools that let you think about what is valuable and meaningful for the data as it relates to your pitch and how you sell prospects. And allow you to customize that. So now you start to maybe productize your offering, focus your search, right? And I'll give you a case in point. If you were working with a real estate investor who, let's say they were an all-cash buyer, opportunistic, and you were able to actually tell by looking at a property whether that owner was behind on their taxes, delinquent on their mortgage, the outstanding balance was, or if they were in distress, you'd quickly be able to filter, identify those individuals in an area that you're farming, and send out communication at the click of a button. So before, and I talked to a ton of real estate investors about their process now, it's really manual. A lot of door knocking, a lot of just, well, the data is just not fresh, it's not accurate, we're playing a lot of guesswork. It's tough to find it. You now have a place where you can find it really easy, where it's not overwhelming, right? It's organized and merchandised in a way that complements your prospecting journey. And the thing that excites me the most about it, which you don't see a lot in our business, is the ability to go from that search to, wow, I see a prospect, to, wow, I know a lot of information on that prospect, so I'm not doing discovery work now. Right? I'm actually talking with precision. I know where the pain point is, and I'm addressing that pain point. So while I may not say, I know you're behind on your mortgage, I might say, hey, I'm talking to a lot of homeowners who happen to be in distress, who are behind on payment, and helping them out. And you know that resonates with them because you have the data, and now you're applying that data. The last piece of this is the ability to do it at scale. So everyone talks about like, oh, I can talk to one person, 5 people, 10 people. Well, what if you could talk to 2,000 at the click of a button with your own message, with your own customized collateral, whether it's via letter, postcard, or email, at the click of a button. So a process that could take somewhere maybe a week, week and a half. Maybe you're really good, it takes you a couple days. You do it all in 20 minutes and go on about your day. So it's the peace of mind, it's you getting time back in your day, it's you getting agency and ownership of your business and being in the driver's seat of growth. And while all platforms pretend to do this, and some might, they all don't house it under one interface, right? So from the moment you wake up and say, hey, I want to go prospect this area, go farm this area, and 20 minutes later you can reach all those people in the area and be done with it and go on to go out and cultivate relationships, be the talisman that you guys are. That to me is powerful, and that's what we wanted to deliver to realtors across the US. We talked about the flow, right? 4 simple pieces to this. Defining a market, which you guys do every single day. Here's the market I'm interested in. I need to pull back information. I need the ability to customize, filter it based on your criteria. If you're looking on behalf of a client, they're searching 2-bedroom, 2-bath. If you are looking for homes in an area that maybe that's your sweet spot, right? I do really well with, whether it's families and helping, whatever your strategy might be, this allows you to actually customize your search based on your strategy and your focus point. I'm working with one of my realtors now who, it's a very interesting approach that they're taking, where we're targeting non-owner occupied properties. And they're working with people who, they may have sold them their primary residence, but they're now creating an opportunity because they're able to spot potential investment properties. We're able to tell you how much that investment property can yield. And now they're going back to the client saying, hey, let's go find you a yielding asset with passive income. So now as a realtor, instead of just waiting, sending out a market update and doing all the things you do in between the sale, hoping to get the next sale, you're literally on the front foot and being active and bringing them opportunity because you have an engine that creates it. Right? So while other realtors are doing the same thing, accessing the same data, thinking about the business the same way, what Navigate is doing is making you much more potent in your current business and much more open to new opportunity. And it's your job to bring that opportunity in front of your clients. But your clients will relish you and value you because you're creative, you're inventive, you're thinking about ways, you're listening to them, and you're using a tool that can help unlock some of that promise. The reason why you'll see some of these words time and time again is because it is critical. If there's one thing that I want people to walk away with when introducing this platform and thinking about lead generation, because none of them really do, it's, yes, it can be simple. It can be efficient. You can be precise. You can be accurate. Right? And these are all things that have been the Achilles heel of a lot of different platforms and a lot of the approach. And the connectivity, which is where it counts, right? That is, you're able to do all those things and finally be able to scale it with confidence. I mentioned before there's some competitors in this space. I don't know how many people in the room are familiar, have used any one of these competitors. And certainly, this is not about the competition. They all do a really good job, right, of collecting information, presenting that information to you. But oddly enough, they've not focused on this very interesting niche of people who've been underserved and overlooked, which are real estate agents. And whether it be by chance, which I don't think it is, we've listened. And I tell people when I go on the road and talk about Navigate, we're not the first lead generation platform. We certainly won't be the last. But we are the ones who listened and observed and designed something that meets you where you're at. So this is where the power is. You can see here in that last bullet, this is designed with the real estate agent's needs in mind. A lot of these other variables and attributes, we matched them. But I think one of the things when we went into the design process that we really wanted to focus on is making it simple for you guys, making it approachable, knowing that we're thinking about how a real estate agent prospects, not just how people prospect in general, because industries are different, and that the information is accurate. An interesting thing we found, which I think will be a tremendous value add to the platform, that when we launch, we will be rolling out, is adding a kind of a consumer deep, rich data overlay to it. So we want you guys to be able to develop owner profiles. So not just, here's John Smith, they live in 123 Main Street, here's their phone number and here's their email address. Great. Here's John Smith. Here's his education level. Here's a little bit about his habits, and if you will, right? So John Smith likes to travel. So giving you more information, and maybe that information allows you to find a different way in to the conversation. We've all been there doing discovery or doing calls where there's been a fair amount of discovery work. We probably feel bad asking these qualifying questions. We know what that person on the other end is thinking, like, Jesus, I can't wait to get off the phone soon enough. And it's awkward. You hope that they stay on long enough to get to why you're actually on the phone. But knowing this kind of background on the client beforehand humanizes the interaction. Right? Not that you're leading the witness here, but at least you know where you can come in at in the conversation with a topic, a subject line, a point of interest that might resonate with the client, right? And open up the conversation to more opportunity. So this is something we're really focusing on. So it's not just yes, there's the data, but it's let's tell the bigger story here and then overlay the property story. And what you find is that, as much as this was designed for real estate agents, we're telling a story about people across the country who need help, right? And who are looking, maybe they're actively looking, maybe they're not because they don't know it. But it's a great way to get in front of somebody with whatever product you're selling, whether that's selling homeowners insurance, whether you're selling a mortgage product, whether you're selling your real estate services. Right? The home has a tremendous amount of value that if you unlock it and complement it with the right, and merchandise it with the right information, there's a lot that could be gleaned for good use. And this slide is very interesting. Right? This kind of encapsulates what we're seeing and what I see when I talk to people every single day. Now, there might be a handful of agents that say, Brandon, like, I have no issues. I got a good process. Maybe I do use Instagram. Maybe I do paid search. It works for me in my area. That's what works. And I say, phenomenal. More power to you. I always know that as a seller, a previous seller, that having a one strategy that's successful, that's great. This should be an always-on sort of approach where you have certain channels that do certain things for you to get more people in the funnel. In our business, in real estate, one of the things that happens is when we actually try to go about finding leads from all these different sources that tell us, oh, well, you have the best data, we have the most information, and there's no shortage of it, is the information is stale, it's outdated. You start to lose confidence in it. You start to get overwhelmed. How do I organize it all? You have databases that sell you stuff that's just not accurate or relevant. So you're saying, hey, this company sold me on this. I'm going through it. None of it's accurate. None of it's helpful. I need to find a different path. And you retreat to probably what feels comfortable. And you lose confidence in the process. And sadly, that's where a lot of people are right now. So my job is to restore that confidence, right? And that starts with good data. So the data veracity is huge. And making sure we have a process that validates and verifies all that data. So, and we do, right? We looked at many competing platforms, cross-referenced it, and found that, there's some data overlap, there's some properties that have different data. And so what we've done in the background with our data providers is run this kind of duplication process where we can validate the data that's coming from one source to make sure it matches another before we display anything. And we assign it a confidence score. So you have the degree of confidence this is the right phone number, with the degree of confidence this is the right email and right person at the address. So all of this goes to say is that we focused on the data because this whole proposition falls apart if the data is not clean. And we know that's a winning and selling point for Navigate today. We also know that real estate agents, and it's crazy because I'm used to and accustomed to it, having worked in the spirits business and also in financial services industry, where regulation is just, it's always there, right? And there's always something new coming down. There's always somebody who's been caught doing something. It's just always in the zeitgeist, if you will, and always something you're aware of, right? Which is why you see anybody who looks at any insurance documents, financial documents, you see reams and reams of disclosures and stuff that's there for a reason. And it's been there in real estate, right? Consumer protection, whether it's the Federal Trade Commission, FCC, everyone's there trying to regulate it. But there's been a lot of, let's just say, bite, maybe very little bark, and now the bark is starting to increase. And you're starting to hear about situations where, and I have a couple points on here, a Florida brokerage paid $3.2 million in violations. TCPA, there's a new FTC ruling that prohibits cold calling without getting opt-in prior, which no one knows about, surprisingly. So much so that someone actually cold called me without getting my opt-in, and I told them I'm going to report you to the FTC, and they didn't even know what that meant. So you can just imagine how many people are doing it out here, how many people are violating it, and how many people who are, if they are in the know, looking to take advantage of it and report people. And the fact that a lot of agencies don't have the staff to help with some of that complexity, to help guide you, to put the guardrails and controls. A lot of those platforms that I mentioned prior, one of the things that they do not do is when they give you templates to send communication out, they're not designed for real estate agents. Again, they're designed for practitioners. So you could be using their program, putting everything in, like hit send, and there's a violation because you didn't put your Department of Real Estate license number here, or this thing didn't go here, and that's what the state is mandating. I don't know, they just said I could do it, so I just hit send. So someone on the other end getting that might want to report you, and that's a problem. So we took a look at it and said, hey, like here's an opportunity to not just say, hey, realtors, we can kind of automate everything for you and make the process easy, but we can be a partner in arms for you to help you with some of these compliance issues. So when you prospect and send things out, you can do it with confidence. And I started to kind of socialize this with a lot of my real estate agents and some top brass at other companies. And, this is a real challenge that people face every day. And if you've ever been, gotten something in the mail, whether you have violated something or there is a warning and notice that goes out, you know how you feel. And sadly, while I don't know for certain, I can only help but think that regulation will only intensify in the coming years. This industry, for whatever reason, is it's top of mind with everyone, right? And it might be because of just the sheer money that's flowing through the industry. And usually interest and attention goes where the money flows. But regulators will be looking, there'll be more focus on this. And everyone is transacting and not paying attention to, you could be doing all the right things, be a great salesperson, but doing all the wrong things from a business hygiene standpoint. But that's a lot to think about. So we said, hey, let's give you peace of mind and let's do that work for you guys to make sure everything you send out is compliant. If you are using our robo-dial feature to make sure you're not dialing outside the hours of, before 8 a.m. and after 9 p.m., making sure everything's compliant, give you peace of mind so you can go out. Again, I got a system that's always running in the background, doing the right things with the right message at the right time. And my job is to go out there and create relationships and take all that opportunity and put it to work. And the feedback's been great. We have betaed this product and we are about to launch this product, knock on wood, in April. And it has been a labor of love for me. And I'll tell you an interesting story. I think had I been in this room a year ago, I certainly wouldn't fashion myself to be a software CEO. That'd be the last thing. In fact, if somebody asked me, what's the last thing you think you do? Maybe that's the answer would be the software CEO. And it has been so fulfilling going through the process of hearing an idea, seeing an insight validated, going from that, okay, we know people are struggling, how do we actually create something that meets them where they're at, that can be done in a scalable, cost-efficient way that people get excited about. And developing that product, going through the ups and downs, the fits and spurts, getting the feedback, and the humility that goes along with that. Essentially saying someone telling you that we don't think that's good enough or that can be done better. And there's no pride of authorship in this. Our intent each and every single day is to deliver something that complements what you go through. And we know it's not static, and we know the business will change, and we want to anticipate that. So we're always open to feedback and getting new insights and incorporating those insights when and where we can. But what's been really powerful about it is that although I am a CEO of a software company, This is a sales tool. This is rooted in sales and marketing, and that's something I've done my entire career. It's something I think I know just as good as any of you. And I'm now able to take kind of those insights and apply them for good use with this platform, right? And help out a whole community of people, about 1.8 million realtors across the country, who I venture to say, I don't know anybody who has a pitch perfect, crystal clear solution for this. Actually give them a tool, put it in their hands, and actually have them get a lot of utility and value. It's one thing to say it, it's another thing to hear it. So we've seen everything I mentioned to you, the time savings, the fact that I don't have to work with 4 or 5 different platforms, maybe talk to a title rep and get this, take that information, put it in follow-up boss, and gone are those days. The fact that it is an easy workflow. Well, you know, I wanted to do this, and then I got lost on the screen because I just didn't understand, like, what am I supposed to do with that? What's the next step? Then I went back to the map, and I just, you know what, I gave up, moving on. No, it doesn't have to be complex. It can be simple. Right? It can be intuitive. It can complement the way you think, right? What do people want to do with information? Right? And just take you on that journey and guide you, not make you have to guess on top of everything else you guys have to do. Right? And give you, and I hesitate to use the word qualified leads, right? Because everyone's like, well, how do you know that they're qualified? And we don't. But what I can say is that the way we go about identifying and finding people, the way we go about extracting information on the property and that individual gives you a better idea of who that individual is and if they're the right fit for whatever it is that you're selling, right? I can never sit here and tell you that like 100% that person is ready to list their home with you. I don't know of anybody who can. But I can give you all the indicators that say, hey, more than likely that person's ready to list if you get in front of that person at the right time with the right pitch before somebody else does. Because guarantee you somebody else will. So now you have a tool that gets you there faster than the competition. And whether it's Rob Refkin, the CEO, saying, hey, Compass agents want it, whether it's top agents across the country, the fact that like, hey, I can consolidate all this work I'm doing, streamline it, or agents on our team who can tell you, right, the phone call prospecting, the data's great. And while not listed here, a lot of team leaders, we've been talking to very large team leaders at Compass, in Compass markets. And one of the things they love is the fact that I actually have a tool that I can apply across my team that consolidates all of their work that they're doing, right? Somebody might be using Instagram here or this here. I have a team meeting. What's working here? It's a lot. It's disparate. It's confusing. I get 15 different updates. I don't know where it stands. Everything from a prospecting standpoint, whether it's a new agent, whether it's a senior agent, who cares where they are on the learning curve? It's all in one dashboard with data and metrics that you can see. So if you're a team leader, you want to see who's doing what? It's right there. You want to see what method of communication is working, email, phone, postcard. You can see it right there. It's the tracking, right? The performance management piece. So any manager of a business, which is what a team leader is, they've been missing some of these things. And now from a lead generation top of funnel perspective, we can tell you, how is your opportunity engine and creation mechanism, is it working? Right. And you can quickly pull insights from it and make clear decisions from it. And what gets me more excited about it is, and you know, this sounds cliched, but what artificial intelligence, generative AI will help do to this platform. This is truly the steroid. This is the supercharged element of what Navigate is. And to show you how fast this stuff is moving, you know, a year ago when we started talking about this product, talking about simple search, type in an address and what shows up. Now we're in an environment where it's less about typing in an address. This is about typing in what's the outcome that you want and having the system literally deliver the inputs to get you to that outcome, right? So whether it's the likely to sell component, which will be an overlay to this, whether it's, hey, I need to write a compelling script, interest rates just went down, I'm trying to you know, get people to list a home, because now's the time. It just so happens it's summer, families are looking, whatever it is, right? What's the ideal pitch, right, at this point in time to this community of people? And they give you a perfect example of how this comes to light. So if you're prospecting in an area where there's an area where there's a lot of empty nesters, you may not use email communication to reach them because maybe they check email, maybe they don't even have an email, right? You actually may want to use a really nice touching postcard because that's how they interact with communication. They're checking their mail, and follow up with a door knock saying, hey, you might have gotten my postcard. Just stopping by, saying hello in the neighborhood, talking to some old clients of mine. Just figured I'd say hello, right? Put a friendly face with that name you might have saw. Right? So knowing what that strategy is for that type of population and how they respond, what types of, what time of day they respond to, what types of communication and language they respond to. But I have to go 18 different places to figure it out and like ask your coworker, like, oh, I don't know, I'm trying this. What are you? Typing it in and letting the system do the hard work for you so you can go about your day. That is the possibility. That is what this platform will become. And I truly believe Navigate will be an accomplice for you guys. All the manual labor, all the effort that you expend on the tasks that just aren't your highest and best use, you now have a tool that will do that for you. And I hate to say, like, now you have no excuse, right? Now the onus is on you guys to use what comes from this tool and put it to work. So, and sorry, these slides are a bit difficult to read here. I think when we were formatting them, we didn't take this into account. But, I think you guys should walk away from this knowing that, what we've built here is a next generation lead gen platform that just moves you seamlessly from discovery to how do I reach out and touch somebody and do it in mass, right? Efficiently, right? And reduces waste in your day, makes you more productive, and allows you to focus on the things that you do well and cultivating the next relationship. We know that compliance is going to be an issue. We want to take that out of your responsibility and put that squarely on us to help you figure out. So you can go create relationships. Let all that messiness let us handle. That's what the system is designed to do. And let's allow for some customization. This is not a one-size-fits-all approach. Every single realtor has a different approach. You guys do things differently. That's what makes you great, and that's what makes you connect with people. So we want to scale the things that are scalable and customize the things that should be customized. So whether that be your mail templates, your postcard templates, your communication, right? That's where everything that you do, your expertise, your personality, that's where it should live and that's where it should thrive. And like I said before, we're launching on the 15th of April. That's kind of our soft launch to the market. But if you guys are interested in joining our wait list for the product to be one of the first people who gets released to, you certainly can go to navigatenow.com/prospect smarter, which we'll share with you later. And if you're interested in a demo, just email sales@navigatenow.com and someone from our team will walk you through a demo of the product. So everything that I just told you today, you can see in real life and call me out if it doesn't hold up to it. But I think much like me, when I go to the platform each and every day, I smile that I see we're delivering on all these things that I said, simplicity, efficiency, the fact that it is approachable, and the fact that it is intuitive. So that is Navigate. And like I will end, like I always end, prospecting now has a new direction, and we're excited for you guys to go on this journey with us. So thank you.